Republican representative says SNAP recipients need to stop smoking crack. All right, Q, you sent this one over, man. I don't know, man. Talk to me about what went through your mind when you first saw this.
The first thing that went through my mind, Rams, was once upon a time, our elected officials pretended to be decent.
Yeah.
They pretended to be above the fray. They pretended to be. They pretended to have some level of decorum. They pretended to have some floor of decency. Like there was a low that you wouldn't be caught saying certain things because it was beneath the office that you held. Mm. And this brand, this generation, this regime of the GOP, of MAGA, of Republicans, seems to no longer have a floor. Yeah. They seem to no longer have a level that they won't stoop to. Mm. Well, even with regards to insulting their own constituents.
And that's what I want to get to. So well, first I'm going to paint this picture just so that people can follow. So this is from the BIN. Representative Clay Higgins, the Republican from Louisiana, is facing widespread backlash after suggesting that people who rely on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, but don't have a month's worth of groceries stocked to brace for the freeze should, quote, stop smoking crack, unquote. Higgins made the controversial comment on Thursday, October 30th, just days before families were set to have their November SNAP benefits suspended amid the ongoing government shutdown. Quote, there are 22 million American households receiving SNAP benefits for groceries at $4,200 per year on average. Try to get your head wrapped around how many pantries you can stock with $4,200 in properly stocked groceries. Any American who has been receiving $4,200 per year of free groceries and does not have at least 1 month of groceries stocked should never again receive SNAP because, wow, stop smoking crack, Higgins wrote on X. I want to share another thing. Miranda, I think this is Yaver, a health policy professor at the University of Pittsburgh, noted that the average SNAP benefit is about $6.20 per person per day. Okay. So the first thing, this first hit me, that, you know, this person, this Republican representative from Louisiana, Clay Higgins, and, you know, to a larger extent, the Republican Party has, for decades now, mischaracterized, I think intentionally, welfare recipients in this country. The party is famously almost like anti-government assistance, right? And I think that is consistent with their overall, you know, brand philosophy. You know, some people say live and let live. Some people say eat or be eaten, right? And, you know, that's not how I think of things. I think that, you know, people that need help should get help, and people that don't, they probably won't even ask for help, right? But I think that the basis of that, in fact, I know the basis for that is racism. Again, I don't like calling it what it is because a lot of people tune out when you say that word, but I know that I've done this research. Q has done this research with me over and over again. And Q says it best, you know, if you go to China, everybody in China is Chinese. But here, everybody in America is an American because there are black people and there are Hispanic people and there are people in power that don't think of black people and Hispanic people as Americans, as fellow citizens. We've been so successfully othered, typically by conservatives, that when it comes to welfare programs like this, if black people receive any of it, they will cut off the majority of people. It's white people that's the majority here that actually need it too, just to affect black people that are down on their lucks. Now I have some numbers to go with that, but the second thing I want to talk to is the $6.20 per person per day. For people that buy lunch for people that buy anything, you probably recognize that $6.20 per person per day is, if anything, that shows how effective the SNAP program is. Because if someone gave you $6.20 and told you to feed yourself every day with that, you might have a tough time with it, right? But again, for this person, Representative Clay Higgins, it just shows how disconnected he is from the reality of the situation and how mischaracterized SNAP recipients have become in his political ecosystem. So let me paint that picture a little bit more, and then I'll throw back to you, Q. All right, so this comes from FRAC.org, F-R-A-C, which stands for Food Research and Action Center. Again, it's right on the first page of the website. You can go and check it out yourself. Again, FRAC.org, F-R-A-C. SNAP recipients represent different races and or ethnicities. White, about 37%. African Americans, 26%. Hispanic, 16%. Asian, 3%. And Native American, about 2%. And about 16% of participants are categorized as race unknown. Now, this was as of 2019. There are more recent numbers, but this was the place where I got it. And the numbers, for the most part, they show that white recipients are consuming the vast majority of the funds allocated and delineated for welfare in this country. Okay. So I'll share again from the website. FRAC.org. SNAP targets those in greatest need. Among those participating in the program, most are children, elderly persons, or individuals with a disability. Again, I ask, what is the point of a government? Why do we need a government if not to protect the most vulnerable? Okay. So again, according to the data here, most recipients are children, elderly persons, or individuals with a disability. Okay. So that could be children in foster homes. You know what I mean? So it's not for the foster person, it's for the children to be fed. Okay, I'll move on. In fact, 86% of all SNAP benefits go to households that include a child, elderly person, or a person with disabilities. In other words, people that cannot themselves work. In addition, about 92% of all SNAP benefits go to households with income at or below federal poverty line. Okay. So there are people that will push back and say, well, yeah, so white recipients do consume the lion's share of the funds allocated, but Black people are disproportionately represented when it comes to SNAP benefits. In other words, per 100,000 persons, there are more Black people per 100,000 than there are white people per 100,000 of the white population, right? And that is true. It's a little bit more than double the amount, right? But this is when they're presented with these facts, this is how they push back and say, well, there are statistically more Black people per 100,000 than there are white people per 100,000 again. So I did some research on that. And the truth is, yes, you are a little more than twice as likely to be under the poverty line per census.gov. And the numbers are 18.8% Black versus 7.3% white. And again, as of 2019, to keep it all fair across the board. That's the last formal census that we did. So the last time the data was available. So again, the rates of people receiving these benefits follow the rates of people at or below the poverty line. And once we start talking about the poverty line, now we can start talking about systemic issues, because Black people have always lagged behind. And for people that put that to us as a moral failing, I put it back to you that it's a systemic failing of the government. Again, what is the point of a government, right? And it is not a moral failing of our people, because most Black people work, have jobs, contribute to society. There are some Black people that are struggling so much that this is a problem, and it disproportionately affects Black people, like most negative things in this country. So I think that weakens that argument to that point. And then as far as like the drug stuff, the smoking crack thing, that's just it's just a really mean-spirited thing to say. I'm sorry, Q, I know I'm talking up your time here, but in short, Black individuals are convicted and incarcerated for drug offenses at disproportionately high rates compared to white individuals, despite both races using drugs at approximately the same rate. So this shows over-policing, and this shows unfair sentencing. So this stereotype is harmful, and it is perpetuated often by conservatives. I'm so sorry, Q. I want to make sure you have a little bit of time to add some thoughts there. So
Don't be sorry, because all of that needed to be said, and it's intentional. You know what I mean? Like it's miscategorized and framed intentionally out of context so that these myths can live on and people will continue to organize, fight against, and vote against their own best interest. It's intentional. You know, the last time where everybody kind of received socialism, because they fight against government programs and socialism for poor people.
yeah,
And when it's for them, there's no issue, right?
they're all Americans. Yeah,
Correct. So when during the pandemic, all of us were getting the same check and could nobody go to work and going outside was dangerous for everybody on earth. And you saw everybody on earth say Black Lives Matter. Not just Black people, not just Americans, everyone. Because for a moment, all the isms got pushed out of the way. Everybody got to be kind of equals for a bit. Everybody was getting that same, what was $600 or whatever it was.
yeah, 1,200.
You know, everybody was trying to stay alive.
Yeah,
And people got to looking left and right and realizing like, well, we all going through the same thing right now. And it's easier to see all the things that are actually wrong when we're not so busy fighting each other. So, you know, you don't apologize for taking up any amount of time, because everything you said needed to be said. They've found a way to perpetuate these myths, man. The welfare queen and the Black people that are the Black people and the immigrants that are taking advantage of all these social systems and guardrails, when those who benefit the most for them, because when you get into per 100,000,
yeah,
there's a way to, again, frame it different. Let's just talk about the raw numbers.
yeah.
There are far more white people benefiting from all of these programs.
That's where all the money's going. Yeah.
So that's where all the money's going.
Yeah.